December 1994, the forces of freedom will face a power-mad dictator in a struggle for the fate of the world.
Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me?
Street Fighter was released on VHS in 1995, initially only for video rental stores. That year, the film sold more than 250,000 rental tapes in the United States. Street Fighter earned Capcom $165 million from the film's box office and home media revenue. Nice. Yeah, so despite being a one-off, this film was actually pretty successful.
It's a Universal picture, but it's a Capcom picture.
Capcom produced it. I guess Universal distributed it.
That makes sense.
Right?
Sure.
They do a great... like a logo thing though, with the Universal logo turning into the Street Fighter logo.
Yeah, I did
good.
like that.
It's probably the most creative thing in this movie.
Starts off with a bang and then, whoo!
So, what's most interesting about the casting in Mortal Kombat, the casting in Street Fighter, is that
funny slip, Gary, because they came out around a similar time, right?
No, well, that's what I'm getting to. Mortal Kombat was supposed to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme video game. And then that didn't work out, so they just changed it to Mortal Kombat and wanted to become a huge success. And then Van Damme was supposed to play Johnny Cage in the film version of Mortal Kombat.
Oh my God! So he missed out on being like the titular character in Mortal Kombat before it was Mortal Kombat. And then when Mortal Kombat came out, he didn't even take a role in it.
He turned down being in Mortal Kombat, which was the only one of these video game movies that was like
that anyone
well
remembers.
Received.
Yeah.
So instead, he signed on to do Street Fighter and play Guile, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but he was a huge name at the time, so I guess that makes enough sense.
Sure. I mean, you put his name on it, people are going to want to see a Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, I'm sure he was a substantial part of the budget. I think he got paid like $8 million or something.
Sure. And I hear the director actually foregoed or didn't take his paycheck in order to pay for the entire cast.
Really?
To some degree. Yeah.
Bad move, Steven.
Yeah.
Because this movie's a real shit fest. This movie might actually be worse than Double Dragon. I think that was more competently made. You know, I'm going to have to give Street Fighter 2 stars despite the nostalgia I have for it.
What do you get given Street Fighter?
I'm just giving it 2 stars.
Okay. Cool.
It's got bad writing, bad acting. But what's most unforgivable about Street Fighter is that the fighting scenes aren't even well done. Yeah. There's really no excuse for bad fight scenes in a movie called Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. And hardly any street fights. If we're going to get into that.
Street Fighter is really lacking in street fights.
Yeah, considerably lacking.
Street Fighter was produced by Capcom and written and directed by Steven De Souza, who's mostly known for being the screenwriter of Commando, Die Hard, and Judge Dredd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, he's among a handful of screenwriters whose films have earned over $2 billion at the worldwide box office.
Oh, $2 billion.
So very successful at writing big, dumbed-down action films. And also he wrote the live-action version of The Flintstones, which I thought was kind of...
The first one?
Yeah. Not Viva Rock Vegas.
Bummer. The better one.
I don't think they could afford Steven De Souza on that one. So this was De Souza's first shot at directing a big movie, and oddly enough, despite Street Fighter being a financial success, it was his last gig as a director. Either the reviews did him in, or Van Damme just broke him on set. So Street Fighter opens with Chun-Li, played by Ming-Na Wen, delivering a news report on location of the Civil War in the fictional city of Shadaloo.
Right. Do we know her name yet?
Chun-Li? Yeah, she says this is Chun-Li here or whatever, so you get her name. Okay. I don't know if she's really a news reporter in the video game. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the backstory they gave her in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, before we really get into the thing, the video game, do you know when that came out?
The original video game?
Yeah.
I think it was like 1987 or something. This is really based off of Street Fighter 2, which came out in like 1991.
Okay.
So it was a few years since the source material.
But yeah. So it's just a cast of characters that I hope the movie will have. And that's it. They fight.
They take the cast of characters from the video game and plug them into a movie and just, write a movie around the characters.
So coming out the gate and seeing Chun-Li as just a reporter, be like, I'm reporting here, is like, oh, interesting. Yeah. We're taking twists on the characters. She's not just someone who kicks.
Yeah, and Ming-Na Wen is a pretty good casting choice for Chun-Li. She doesn't have like a huge ass like in the game, but this is 1994 and they didn't yet have the CGI or plastic surgery technology to create an Asian girl with a butt.
She's very thick in the video game.
Yeah, it's unrealistically thick.
I think it's just pure muscle. It's
Big,
not even
strong legs.
It's just she can jump 1,000,000 feet high and kick your nuts off.
General Bison is portrayed in the film by Raul Julia.
Gomez Adams.
Yeah.
I could not see Gomez being like,
Oh, okay.
Just with one of his crazy harebrained
great actor.
schemes. Yeah, no, he really is.
Raul Julia is mostly why I'm even giving this movie 2 stars. He can be a bit over the top, but he's putting in an effort, which is a contrast to the performance of one very coked out action star.
Who will not be named, that we already might have named.
Who apparently had a $10,000 a week cocaine habit.
Wow.
Which I guess that just means you're doing coke all day.
I mean, you'd probably have to. That's crazy town. That's so much cocaine. But also,
not if you're getting paid $8 million a movie though. It's like,
yeah, sure. And it's probably not just him. He's doing it with all his buddies, and they're doing coke and kicking things and throwing things at each other to kick, and all coked up. You know how it goes when you're on the coke.
Oh, you're saying like maybe as an entourage, so the $10,000 a week cocaine habit is like 5
Yeah, it
guys
wasn't
doing
just
coke.
him,
It's not-
his nose candy. Otherwise, I don't know. I bet his skull would.
It's also his workout buddy, and yeah. So General Bison and his men have captured a bunch of refugee workers and American soldiers.
Ooh, yeah. He's a bad guy, this Bison.
He's a very on-the-nose bad guy.
Oh, I do want to say another thing about his name.
Mm-hmm.
M. Bison, right? He's called General M. Bison. In the video game, when it came from Japan, I think.
Yeah, I know, Russ. His fucking
It was Mike
Balrog is
Tyson.
Bison because he's a boxer character.
He looks exactly like Mike Tyson. It's
He's
so
Vega
funny.
in Japan.
Yeah. So it's interesting that all these different names kind of got switched around, and that to avoid likenesses. But Michael Bison.
Michael Bison.
Not that anyone calls him Michael Tyson either.
I'm Michael Bison. It's like a shitty version of Michael Tyson.
Yeah, but I got a shitty right hook.
I still have a speech impediment and I'll beat you up. So Colonel Guile, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, shows up at the scene of the news report. He's a commander for the AN, which is the film's fictional UN equivalent.
Oh.
Yeah, Guile's uniform says USA, but his Belgian accent says otherwise.
Yeah.
He just takes the microphone from Chun-Li to address General Bison directly. And then he does what I think is like the Italian hand gesture for go fuck yourself.
Does he? What is it? How do you do it?
It's like,
oh, you like chop
yeah,
your hand
is that what
into
that
the...
is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If you chop your hand down into the crux of your other arm while lifting your one arm in, like a fist or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely an FU.
And I guess because he couldn't use the middle finger in a PG-13 film. Sure. I don't know what the thought process is. He's supposed to be an American GI, but he sounds Belgian. And he flips off people like he's Italian. And apparently does coke like he's from Miami.
Where is this guy from?
Yeah.
What an amalgamation. He is America, Gary.
Right? He's just a melting pot
of
cultural references.
And maybe that's why we jump to accept
substance
him.
abuse issues.
Yeah, exactly.
So then through some magic, Bison has his tech guy, DJ, hack into Chun-Li's news van, allowing Bison to talk directly to Guile. This is really lazy writing, and it happens throughout the film where characters are just able to magically communicate through technology that doesn't exist. It's real cheese dick like James Bond shit.
Yeah, really just to be able to do the thing. In fact, most of this movie feels like an 8th grader saw way too many rated R action movies and was like, then what if he's trying to make super soldiers, and then what if he kicks them really far, and then all they all shoot at him. But also, it kind of gets like, there's like heavy moments that should be like pretty intense, but again, it's like you don't understand the context of what you're doing, so you're just kind of going through the motions of like shooting a partner or whatever, and it's just like so forgettable and action movie tropey.
Yeah, it's not good. There's a couple like cool lines and shit, but mostly the movie writing is just bad.
Real cornball.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? Gomez Adams wanted to take the role because he wanted a movie for like kids for
and
his
he's
kids
also
to
like
enjoy.
Dying. He's really sick at this point.
Oh, is that right?
He died like before the movie came out. And it's dedicated to him. But he has stomach cancer and he just had surgery, and you could tell he looks very old and like gaunt in this film.
Sure.
He's not in his best
At the
health.
same time, though, he
He
runs.
probably
flips
was like,
around
he probably
and
was
all
like, I
sorts
should
of
try to
stuff,
make one movie that my kids will be able to enjoy before I die. It's really kind of dark.
You don't think
about
anybody enjoyed the Addams Family? It's a kids movie.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know.
As much as this is, maybe his kids.
Maybe his kids just don't like the Addams Family. Like, this sucks. I want to go play Street Fighter.
Yeah,
He's
well,
like,
we'll
"God
play
damn it."
Street Fighter. He's like, oh, the kids, they love the Street Fighter.
Yeah.
That's always awesome.
So Bison demands $20 billion in exchange for the American hostages.
$20 billion.
Yeah, it's not even like a lot of money. We gave $80 billion to the Ukraine like last month. Fucking nothing. So while talking to Bison, Guile addresses his friend Charlie Carlos Blanca, who's one of the kidnapped soldiers, and this is a big mistake because Guile promises Charlie that he's going to rescue him. You know, I guess he can see him on Bison's transmission.
Yeah.
And it's a dumb move because now you've singled out your best friend to the sociopathic dictator you were taunting with obscene European hand gestures.
Yeah.
Guile's a fucking idiot.
Dude, he's going to rip a line and come after you.
So Bison sends Charlie to the laboratory to be experimented on. And it doesn't really take a genius to figure out that Charlie is going to become the film's version of Blanca.
Right. You know, I didn't realize that.
Oh, you didn't get that? Because you probably weren't aware of Blanca. But they say, Carlos Blanca.
If they said his name, yeah, I missed the name. There's a lot of words that are said in this movie that kind of just like hit me, and I was like, oh, I don't think this matters.
And what's most impressive about the live action version of Street Fighter is the way the movie just shoehorns in every character from Street Fighter 2. Not even just the original, all the characters from the Champion Edition.
Oh,
it's way too much. Balrog and fucking E Honda and Vega. None of these guys need to be in there.
They're just extra for the real fans, Gary.
It's way too many characters.
Yeah.
It's like they were trying to sell toys, but I don't think they ever actually made the toys.
Damn, maybe they're trying to sell the video game?
I guess, but the video game was already huge.
It
came out 4 years ago. The next scene takes place at an underground dive bar / fight tournament. I guess this is the hideout for Victor Sagat, who is another character from the game, and Bison's arms dealer in the film version. So,
bad guy.
He is a bad guy. Can you tell by the shaved head and the eye patch and the fucking scar on the face and the parrot on the shoulder and the fucking
gravelly voice and the fact that he hangs out in
cat
fighting
in his lap
tournaments.
and So so Sagat meets with Ryu Hoshi and Ken Masters.
You mean Marty McFly impersonator?
No, is that who he is from the movie?
He looks exactly like that. He's wearing like this cheesy vest and it was he's got a doofy haircut. He's like, Doc.
Yeah.
You gotta go and fight.
I feel like I've seen Ryu from other shit, but I don't know what I've seen the guy who plays Ken in.
Yeah, he almost looked like the friend from The Mask, but I'm pretty sure it was.
He kind of looks like Uncle Joey from fucking Full House.
Yeah, combine those two people we mentioned, and then you got this guy.
Yeah,
who's doing a Marty McFly impersonation. It's not in voice though.
Yeah. So Sagat meets with Ryu and Ken for a weapons deal, and to their dismay, Sagat has already. Sagat doesn't sound right. Someone's talking about
Bob Saget.
So Sagat has already obtained the weapons, and his men confront Ken and Ryu with their own black market guns, only to find out they're toys. And this is kind of a funny setup.
Got him.
This is like almost a moment of brilliance in Street Fighter.
Wow.
I don't want to say brilliance, but
a
moment of competence.
Sure, there you go.
And so then Sagat delivers a line that really puzzles me. Like after he realizes the guns are fake, he says, "I like my games live and in living color." It just sounds like it's does he mean the guns weren't live?
In living color was a TV
It's like
show.
he just watched a video or something, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, Gary. You're right. There's actually a number of lines that seem misplaced.
It's like instead of having a script, they just had actors draw like random lines out of a hat for like a trailer.
You get this one. It's time to fight you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Victor Sagat forces Ryu to fight his cage champion Vega, who really doesn't fit in this fictional Asian country. I'm not sure why there's a Spanish bullfighter in Shadaloo.
He's got great long braided hair and chiseled
epic
pecs.
Yeah,
he's got
jacked,
really
like a big
pecs.
snake tattoo.
I bet he could do a lot of bench presses.
Yeah.
Kind of, and they hide his face behind a mask. That's in the game? He has a mask
in the game. He has a Jason mask and a Freddy glove.
Oh.
And
He has both those things in this
he
thing.
does have them. He doesn't really fight with them much, but he has them. That's the whole thing. That's the whole point of this movie. They just make the characters visually look like the game. And they're like, mission accomplished.
Now take off the mask.
He's got a red uniform.
Take off Ryu's shirt. It just gets...
Yeah.
There's a lot of people just getting stripped in this movie, or at least at the beginning. It
Oh,
seems.
really?
Well, yeah. Ryu goes in. A woman like dances around him, who's like, one of the women amping up the crowd and holding up the signs for what round it is. Anyway, she rips off his shirt and just... There go all his buttons, man. Forget about that.
Oh, yeah. I think because in the game he doesn't have a fucking shirt. I don't know.
Yeah, he pulls off his shirt a bunch.
So Guile bursts in just before Ryu can fight Vega and arrest everyone for violating the curfew.
Yeah. Van Damme takes his military vehicle,
Drives his tank into the building. You think that would be dangerous?
just smashes it into a crowded building, right? There's a lot of people in there.
Yeah, he
It's
probably
crazy.
would have killed.
He probably would have killed many people. That guy's just insane.
So in the prison grounds, Colonel Guile witnesses Ryu and Ken fighting Sagat's men and recruits them to help him find Bison in exchange for their freedom. And this scene is hilarious. Van Damme looks like he's been doing lines in his trailer all day. He's jawing around in his berets, and also like very bad military uniforms. They look really cheap.
Oh, yeah, they're like red.
They're like blue and fucking...
Oh yeah, we're talking about the blue guys. There's a red camo, which is like, where do you hide with red camo? Against lava, and blue camo, which is like, where do you, against the sky, against like the ocean.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, a pool. Don't run around the pool.
And then Van Damme ends the scene by very ham-handedly announcing, "The only way you two are leaving is over my dead body," which is foreshadowing for Guile's plan to fake his own death as well as allow Ken and Ryu to escape with Sagat and Vega and the rest of the convicts. All part of Guile's plan to plant Ken and Ryu inside of Bison's operation with a homing device. Seems risky. You're going to let the whole prison go
All right.
to find Bison.
Right.
And then an AN official played by Simon Callow shows up to cancel Guile's mission. The AN has decided instead to pay Bison the $20 billion in exchange for the hostages. And instead of calling off the troops as ordered, Guile gives an inspiring speech that rallies them behind him in complete defiance of his superiors. Whoa. And Colonel Guile takes off to rescue the hostages and face off against the bad guy, Bison.
I feel like so much else happened in there, Gary. You missed the whole...
Well, I'm going to talk about Chun-Li and shit, but I don't need to do it in order. Movies cut back and forth between scenes, so there's no point to like... be like, back and forth to Van Damme. Just this is what Van Damme does.
Yeah, but you missed the whole part where he fakes his death and they escape the prison.
Talk about it.
And then he sits in the morgue for like 10 plus hours until someone shows up and like opens up
why
the bag.
Why does he wait in the morgue until Chun-Li fucking finds
That's what I'm saying. All right, so I'll run through it real quick. So, all right.
That doesn't make any sense.
They smash. Van Damme stops like an attempted assassinry on like the group of UN members or AN members, I guess. And upon, knocking the guy off the table, they rip his shirt open, because they love doing that in this movie, and they reveal a tattoo. We also find out that Bison has got this plan to build Bisonopolis, which is a big, like, city, but it's got, like, a bunch of franchises in it to sell burgers and stuff. And Bison's plan, besides that, is to make perfect super soldiers, and for peace he clarifies that it's for peace, and then crush anybody who opposes them populating the earth or something weird.
It is funny that they stage this prison escape, and I don't know if they tell all the soldiers. It looks like they're just firing live rounds at the
they're just shooting real things. The fact that
potentially they could have staged this prison escape and then all of them just get killed anyways.
They could have killed the real prison guards. Van Damme could have actually been shot by a real gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he then, after faking his death, just lays there waiting for Chun-Li to show up is just like,
yeah. Why would they even bother taking him to the morgue? They drove away. It's not like they're not going to see the. I guess because they're faking his death for the news. So they have to go through the whole thing.
But if he's going to reveal it to her anyway.
So news reporter Chun-Li, whose father was killed by Bison, and her crew, former sumo wrestler Edmund Honda and boxer Balrog, are also out for revenge against Victor Sagat for ruining their careers. Chun-Li, E. Honda, and Balrog stage a magic act as an attempt to assassinate Bison and Sagat at a party. And to maintain his trust, Ryu and Ken stop the assassination, and the three are captured. And Bison orders the men to be tortured and Chun-Li to be sent to his quarters, which as an 8 or 9-year-old child I never understood meant that she was inevitably going to be violated by this pseudo-communist warlord.
He definitely insinuates like sexual assault.
It's like, dress her like a whore and leave her in my room with handcuffs.
For a private interview. Yeah.
Great scene in Bison's
Awkward.
personal chambers.
Also,
Yeah.
Bison, he tricks Sagat, right? He pays him in this Bison money.
Sagat is upset to realize that Bison's money is, Bison dollars.
Yeah, so he got paid
Which
in
Russ,
Bison
they're
dollars.
going to be worth, £5 British pounds after he kidnaps
the queen.
So.
That's what I'm saying. So Bison has way too many plans. Like, I can't even follow what he's trying to do anymore. He's captured a soldier. Now he wants $8 billion. Also, he's got a plan to make super soldiers that are going to crush the earth, and that's separate. Also, he's going to kidnap the queen and force them to turn British currency to his Bison dollars or whatever. Then it's just like, what is this guy doing? Is he a metaphor for like?
It's a metaphor for like a communist.
For a communist regime, just like trying to fascist.
That's what I assume.
Yeah, sure.
This is a retarded movie for children. They're just like, let's vaguely make him communist. Like bad guy wear red, like Russia, and good guy wear blue.
Yeah,
it's
everyone wears.
But the
masks.
fucked up thing is like it's not even 1985. This is like 1995.
Right.
It's the fucking Cold War's over.
Yeah. So all the imagery just feels so over the top.
It feels like a 80s movie.
Yeah, it's very comic booky.
This should be like fucking G.I. Joe movie or some shit.
Right.
So, great scene in Bison's personal chambers where Chun-Li tells a vivid story of Bison conquering her village. She's like attempting to offend him with the details, and he's just indifferent as he changes into his smoking jacket.
Yeah.
And then probably like the best line in the film is when Bison tells Chun-Li something like, "To you, the day Bison conquered your village was the most important day to your life, and to me it was Tuesday."
Right. I can't even remember. Yeah. It's pretty rude.
But it turns out the whole thing is a ploy by the expertly trained Chun-Li, who's able to break her shackles, and then she attacks Bison.
Right.
Before Ken and Ryu rescue E. Honda and Balrog, and they all come to rescue her.
Right. Who are in a prison. Wait, how did they get in a prison?
How did Balrog and E. Honda get in prison?
Yeah.
They got captured by Bison after they were trying to assassinate him, and he took him to be like interrogated. Right. And there's like a scene where they're like, "Oh, he can't torture the sumo guy because he's so fat."
Right,
but doesn't hurt him.
But it actually hurt him, right? It was a trick. It was bleeding after he.
I think it's more about like a sumo have like the power of like
ukulele.
Dissociating. Yeah, ukulele. His ukulele saved him.
He can eat a whole suckling pig with an apple in its mouth in one bite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time they show this Hawaiian guy, there's like this Hawaiian guitar.
He's been in lots of movies. He's a very recognizable character actor, right?
I don't know.
I feel like I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
I don't know. I didn't recognize him for anything.
Oh, okay.
Except this.
Well, I did watch Street Fighter a lot, so that might be where I recognize him from.
But I guess this all just goes to show this movie moves fast, but it's a whole lot of like, who knows what the hell's going on. And at this point, I don't even know what part of the movie we're at. Are we halfway? Are we like a quarter way? What is the story? Like, where are we going?
It's a bit convoluted, yeah, and also like the plot is pretty simple, right?
Right. It shouldn't be. Bad guy steals a prisoner and he says, "Give me $8 billion." Meanwhile, he's working on some other experiments, and our one good guy says, "That's my friend. I'm going to do some coke and I'm going to kick his ass."
"Don't worry, Charlie. I'm going to do this line and then I'll come save you after I make sure my muscles look good."
Nice and oiled. And then after a rousing speech by Jean-Claude about the war is over, but forget about peace and freedom and justice.
You can go home. They say there's still lots of cocaine in my trailer, but this is okay. You can go home. They tell me there's still 2 prostitutes waiting for me backstage, but we can go home.
You know what?
They told me contractually I still get $8 million for this, but you can go home.
Yeah, it's interesting that rousing war speech. I don't know if that's like, what is that?
If you were an enlisted man and you were looking at going to die at Bison's headquarters, I think you would be like, fuck this Belgian asshole.
Yeah, man. You just heard by the chief that this guy who's telling you this is fired and the war has been canceled. So feel free to go home, spend time with your families. Upon hearing this, everybody frowns and shakes their head. No, man. Are they enlisted or did they sign up? Are they paid to be here? Because someone, I think, says they're paid at some point.
I think they're paid, right?
Soldiers are paid?
Yeah, soldiers are paid,
okay.
right? You wouldn't go and kill brown people overseas for nothing, right, Russ?
I guess.
You gotta throw a little cake your way.
I wouldn't, but, who knows people's modus operandi.
Let me piss, buddy. I'm sorry. So Bison gets into a safe room and he fills the room with gas. It's pretty cheese dick shit. It feels like a scene from a 1960s Batman series.
I'm behind the glass and you're getting smoked out like a bunch of bees.
Yeah, and Raul Julia really plays it up. He feels like he's the only one in this movie who kind of like knows what it is.
Right.
And he's like playing it all over the top.
Yeah, which is why I think he accepted that every line could just be so crazy. He could just have a new plan every time because he's just this crazy dictator, sort of communist character, right? So.
Yeah, and I never noticed this before now, but Bison has a portrait in his private quarters that looks like it's drawn by John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, it's
kind of a weird detail.
It's like a horse with him riding it, but he's a clown or something.
I don't know. It looks like it's a picture of either a picture that Gacy drew of Bison or it's Pogo the clown with the bison hat on. But like it's weird. Was General Bison in correspondence with John Wayne Gacy?
Probably.
Weird thing to have.
Probably,
in the bedroom.
yeah. Bison's, he's a psychopath. He's hooked up with other psychopaths around the world.
Yeah.
He can just hack into your TV station or your prison or whatever and like talk to you. And he probably liked Gacy's work. Wait, does Gacy paint a lot of horses or what's his work like?
I think Gacy mostly painted like Disney characters and like self-portraits and shit.
Okay.
Which is really weird to get like a fucking painting of Cinderella from fucking John Wayne Gacy.
Maybe Gacy admired Bison.
Maybe Gacy was a Street Fighter fan and he liked the arcade version.
Yeah.
I think he was locked up though before that. Maybe that shit came out.
Listen, I bet you can get video games in prison. Smuggle it in someone's ass.
Yeah. That's what happened. They smuggled in a full-size arcade machine in an inmate's ass so they could play Street Fighter.
And if anybody looks in the thing, it's just someone leaned over and everybody else is reaching into their ass and
there's one guy at the prison. He's just like a shell of a man after bringing in the Street Fighter cabinet. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, dude, you got to get Mortal Kombat 2.
Let's see what I can do.
So while all this is going on, Guile is on his way. War crimes be damned. He's ready to break international agreements to go to war with Bison.
Isn't that silly? Like,
this is the most realistic part of the whole movie.
Sure.
Some of this stuff isn't that crazy. The AN is supposed to be like a fictionalized UN. So I assume they're up to some bullshit. And Bison's probably like a Gaddafi. He's kind of nuts. But in the end, if you oust him from power, you're going to end up with like an open slave market in like fucking 2 months.
Yeah, and we don't want that. Not in this dubbed hyper-fast world.
And Guile's in his specially designed AN boat.
Ooh, yeah. So slick, so fast.
You feel like they're trying to sell a toy or something, but I don't think they ever made toys.
For this movie? They never
the marketing for this movie was not that huge.
Bummer. I think it's a missed opportunity. It's probably why they did it, and they also had...
It feels like it. It feels like, here's the boat now. Like, why is there a fucking boat scene in Street Fighter?
Yeah, where's the street fighting?
Yeah.
Where's the street fighting?
Well, I heard they wanted to have helicopters break into Bison's place, but they couldn't because there was like actually a war going on in Thailand, so they couldn't
airspace.
You couldn't do air shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, I guess what do? You do a boat scene.
Well, I'll tell you what you do, Russ. While you're driving your boat to go fight the evil pseudo-communist dictator, you pop in an 8mm video cassette so you can watch vacation footage of you and your friend Charlie, presumably with 2 Italian prostitutes.
While you listen to some great 80s.
Why would this military boat have a deck for camcorder tapes?
I have no idea.
And why is there even a boat? The fuck?
And why is he taking the time to do this? It's not like important to the mission.
He's very sentimental.
The music
Colonel
tells
Guile.
us that. Yeah. Unless that's music's going on in the boat too, Gary. Is that music going on?
Oh, I don't
There's
know.
some like
there is music.
pop music. It sounds.
I think they are. They're playing
it's
music,
really
which is so silly. If you were really on a military operation, you wouldn't be listening to fucking
nothing.
MC
It's
Hammer.
silent.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's just
And
a
then-
transition. It's so they can then cut to Charlie, who's now been transformed into a mutant with green skin and orange hair.
Right. You gotta
Blanca
get
is
us there.
basically like a cheap Japanese ripoff of the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, very much so. He's got red hair.
Well, this is important because part of the redundancy of these video game movies derives from the fact that the source material was based off movies already. So a lot of these characters are ripoffs of characters and personalities from movies and popular culture. And that's why you can't make a Contra movie. It would just be aliens and Rambo without the trademark characters.
Right.
Like if you're making a copy of a copy of a copy again. It's like it's like playing telephone with fictionalized storytelling.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what it's like.
You know?
And it gets all garbled by the end. And
Fucking Japanese people, man, they love combining shit. You ever go to Japan, Russ? They got like a building. It's got a roller coaster, and then there's a fucking a mochi bar, and then there's a place where they put down dogs, all in one room.
wow,
Yeah, and there's a giant robot in all of them.
that's pretty great.
Yeah,
can
it's
can
really
I pay
great
someone
culture.
to cry on my lap?
Yeah, you sure can, pal.
Okay, well, great. And great. Can I get a live octopus to like?
Only if you're gonna put it in your ass.
Clearly, Gary. What do you think I was going to do with a live octopus? Eat it? Come on, I'm not a savage.
Yeah.
Those things are escape artists. I bet I couldn't keep it in my ass, and that's the challenge.
Oh, the octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever seen him crawling through a bottle or something?
What if it doesn't want to come out?
That's what if
Forget about the kangaroo. What if an octopus crawls up your ass?
takes over your body?
Yeah, it
Who's
just wears
to-
you like a human suit.
Who's to say I'm not being operated by an octopus right
You're walking
now,
around like
Gary?
the guy in fucking Men in Black, like sugar water. The fucking octopus.
Yeah, I got an octopus and a flight simulator packed up here.
Yeah. You just have like all the tentacles hanging out of your ass. Like you just like walk around like an evil, like a reverse Medusa. Mm-hmm. You know?
And it needs at least 4 arcade games because of all its hands. It's got to keep occupied, you know?
Yeah, right?
Actually, I heard that keeping octopus is very, very tricky as a pet because it
so smart.
will escape. There was an aquarium where fish were disappearing out of other tanks, and at night the octopus was crawling out of its tank, going to other fish tanks, eating fish, and coming back to its tank.
Yeah.
But also, if you have a octopus, you got to give it puzzles, like children's puzzles, to keep it occupied. Otherwise, it'll focus all its attention on escaping.
That's interesting. You have to like occupy it.
Yeah, you got to occupy the octopi.
Can you just like drug it up like what people do with like chimpanzees and shit?
Just put a bunch of LSD in the
Do
water.
Thorazine and wine, like that lady in Connecticut whose friend got her fucking face ripped off by her pet chimp.
That sounds like a bad idea, Gary.
Imagine
We
getting
don't learn
attacked
from
by
her
somebody's
mistakes.
fucking pet octopus. That'd be fucking.
Yeah.
that'd
What
be
do
a
you
bummer.
do? Just be calm, man. Just be calm.
It'd probably fuck you up.
Yeah. Starts biting you and shit, throwing its stomach
Do
onto
they
your.
bite? They have teeth? I don't know. How that
I think
works.
some do.
Yeah. Okay.
Some, I feel like a lot of octopus. I heard that or maybe this is starfish. This is starfish.
Oh, okay.
They grab their prey and then their like stomach comes out of the bottom of them, and like.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if octopus are the same, but I don't want to mess with them. I think
All
that's the
fucking
point.
seahorses do is like the guy ones have babies, which sounds like that's just a scientist being stubborn.
Oh no, that's a male, and he's.
This is the male seahorse. It's pregnant. The males get pregnant. It's like fuck you, dude. That might be a joke that's already a bit. I think I stole that.
Oh well, it's pretty good.
It's too good.
It's
I don't
too
know if I
good.
came up with that.
Is it? Yeah. Well, anyway, we're back to the. Oh, I guess we're kind of on the water still.
Yeah, he's in the boat.
He's in the boat, dreaming about his best friend on
Thinking
cassette.
about Charlie. Oh no, we're going to do lines together. We lift weights. He do my spot so I can get jacked. It's so funny to think that like Jean-Claude Van Damme would disappear from set and he'd just be like working on his arms. He does look really jacked in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your job, Gary, to look jacked,
It is basically his job is to be jacked.
but also his job was to be there, and he wasn't there a lot because he was off making sure his arms looked jacked.
Yeah,
And
and he was getting a third of the budget.
entire scenes were cut and stuff. I hear, and that all makes sense. This movie really kind of like just stumbles along.
Yeah.
Um,
So Dalsum in the film is a hostage scientist who's programming Blanca's brain. He gets caught sneaking in videos of the "I Have a Dream" speech between war atrocities and whatever crazy shit they're trying to show him to make him like a killing machine.
Yeah, and then
This movie shows footage of a murder, and it ended up being PG-13. There's this shot of a guy getting shot from like war footage
inside the guy in Blanca's glasses
on the monitor or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely Hitler and all sorts of evil imagery. I could imagine like someone getting shot on.
This is so dumb. Dude.
And you know what? It's
how
really
are these
hard.
videos changing him mentally? It's like.
In fact, it's not even changing him mentally. It's physically changing him. Watching violent videos is building muscle mass onto this guy.
No, I think that's I think they're just also doing that to him.
Oh.
Yeah. But like,
oh, good.
It still doesn't make sense though, because he's already a fully formed adult with 30 plus years of development and lived experience. 12 hours of Faces of Death isn't going to change him into a monster. Like.
Yeah, no, it was 30. It was like 71 hours, Gary.
Oh, 71 hours.
It was like 71 hours.
By this logic, everyone who grew up with the internet would be a Blanca type sociopath. Like
I am. Do you not see my long red hair and green skin, Gary?
Yeah.
And way up.
The effect of Blanca too, it's like 70s era Hulk.
Oh man,
level.
just give him a big forehead and he's painted green real quick. Just
looks like a green caveman.
Yeah, really not good.
And the scientist is somehow transformed into Dalsum character when like chemicals just spill on him.
Oh, is that what happened?
It's so vague, and then then his hair's just gone.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's supposed to be the long-armed Indian guy.
Right. I love that character. He's super overpowered with that long arm reach.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheesy. Like, it's a pretty cheap move if you use it too much.
Yeah.
I typically am that character because I like using that cheap move.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess they just had to squeeze this character in.
I didn't even realize it was him until you say this. Yeah, he comes out all bald.
They do keep supernatural powers at a Street Fighter. Like, they don't really have them do
their long arm
magic
stretchy
shit.
things.
Yeah. So we've introduced all these characters, and, you know.
The jet boat goes invisible. Do we get to that part yet?
Yeah. They go into stealth mode, and a green light flips on. Oh, Jesus.
Bison's looking at, like, the shockwave in the water of where, like, the boat should be, and he's like, where are they?
Yeah.
Use all the sensors to find them.
Yeah. And then, you know, I guess they finally get there, and Bison faces off against Guile in the big showdown at the end.
Yeah.
And
but then Bison, all the time I was actually working on another secret, what is it, electromagnetism or something.
Yeah, he's making some weapon or some shit.
Yeah,
too.
he actually also has some weapon, and it makes not only his TV float and also his fleshlight be able to jerk him off, but it also allows him to fly around.
That'd be funny if his big secret invention was just a fleshlight. He's like, I'm going to control the world. I've made a fake pussy.
Oh man, make a fake pussy, you control the world.
He's like a communist. He's like, fake pussies for everyone.
If it was affordable, yeah, maybe. Damn.
They have some sort of futuristic 1995 fleshlight. And also, another thing that's shoehorned in this movie is this Kenya Sawada guy, the Japanese actor who plays the other AN dude. They keep like cutting back to him. And it's just because like I guess they had a deal with this guy, or Capcom had some interest in Kenya Sawada.
Oh, with
the Japanese guy.
He's busy. He's like on the police force or something.
He's like part of the AN too.
Yeah, okay.
But he's just like, he seems so unnecessary.
You know,
it's so funny that they not only like made the director shoehorn in like 12 characters, and they were like, hey, you got to put Kylie Minogue and also Kenya Sawada, who never really took off in America. This was kind of like a wasted effort.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't recognize any of them. Yeah, and there's random scenes in Japanese.
Yeah. Kylie Minogue was just cast because like they were filming in Australia, and then they had to like cast an Australian actor.
Well, there you go. Yeah, they filmed the locations are beautiful. They filmed in Thailand, so I bet they have Taiwanese actors. And they filmed in Australia and Vancouver, British Columbia.
So during the big fight, we see Guile face off against Bison. And to his credit, it looks like Raul Julia, who was sick with stomach cancer at the time, does a good amount of like wire work for himself.
Yeah, he's doing quite a bit of stuff. Yeah. I hope it's not this movie that killed him.
Me too, man. That'd be a real...
That'd be a real shame.
It's a real awful film to die for. And what's interesting here is Guile beats the shit out of Bison and sends him into a computer panel or something.
Yeah.
Where he just charges up like a fucking phone on a wireless charger. And then he can just like fly and control electricity. And he's able to gain the upper hand.
Yeah, he's got electricity powers now.
It's almost like a super shredder type thing.
Yeah, just.
And then
yeah,
Guile
yeah.
counters by kicking Bison into his monitor wall, which explodes.
Yeah, he kicks him right into the TVs. Yeah. So is this it's a metaphor, like
Metaphor for
being
being bad for you.
Yeah, about TV being bad for you. And then
I'm surprised you didn't say like, didn't your mother tell you not to stand too close to the TV set?
Oh, that would be great. Instead, the floor just explodes and Van Damme has to roll away for some reason. Then I don't even know. Does he say anything?
I don't know.
He might have a one liner.
All I really noticed is that they shoehorn in like all the moves. They make him do like the moves from the game. So like all they really got is you get the visual look from the game, and you get the moves, and then just a bunch of shit.
And then there's a bunch of filler somehow combined by Van Damme's schedule.
Yeah. So the hostages are rescued, and Guile stays behind to convince Dalsum and Charlie to return with him. They refuse, Dalsum wishing to atone for his responsibility in mutating Charlie. This is dumb, man. You're just going to die.
And now he's my tiny child.
You didn't do anything. You were forced to do this shit.
And now this big, strong freak is my tiny, scared baby.
I'm going to stay here. I've turned Indian because of a laboratory experiment.
I'm adopting him. Yeah. Just everything about it just is what? Okay.
And also, like, they shoehorn in these characters just to kill them. Like, you want to have them be alive for the sequel or whatever.
Right. Well, here's the thing. They were going to kill Blanca before. And in fact, this was a scene like, wait, what? So Van Damme shows up at the facility and Blanca escapes from his thing, but he's been turned good. They fight still for some reason. And then Van Damme, is like, hey, Charlie, it's me. And Charlie starts crying, I guess, or whatever. And then he's like, help me. And so Van Damme's like, okay, I'll help you. And he picks up a gun and he's gonna shoot his buddy. And like for way too long are we focusing on, like, it's just like really drawn out. And then the Indian guy walks up and is like, hey, you don't have the right to shoot him.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know. It was like,
you don't have the right to shoot him, but we're going to stay here and die.
Yeah. So what the hell's going on? I feel like it was written by like an 8-year-old who was like, yeah, and then he's going to shoot him, but then he doesn't shoot him. And then Bison says, open the hostage chamber. And then there's a hostage chamber and he's going to gas all the hostages.
Yeah, it's dumbed down. It's a dumb fucking movie. And like, the Steven De Souza's movies are not known for being particularly smart, but I think just like, he wanted to direct probably, and he had to do whatever Capcom wanted, and it ended up being a fucking mess. It was probably a nightmare for him. It probably did not come out the way he wanted.
It was Capcom. It was
not that he's great,
and then Van Damme. Just if you got to scrap scenes because Van Damme's not going to show up today, it's like, all right, we'll shoot something else. I don't know. Make up another plan about your stuff, Bison.
Yeah. And then the whole thing ends with the cast of characters. They're all like dressed to look visually very much like the game.
Yep.
And they strike their poses for a freeze frame. It feels super hacky for 1995. This would have felt more timely in like 1985.
Yep.
It was really
it's kind of it missed the mark.
Which is the thing. This is a boomer directed movie. This was a 70s dude. He's so he's really out of touch by 1995.
Do you think the Mortal Kombat movie is more successful than this?
I don't know about financially, but I think it's probably a slightly better movie.
I would.
They were both. I mean, Mortal Kombat was successful. There were sequels, and then this was also successful in its own way. Maybe not as much as Mortal Kombat. I really don't know the numbers.
Mortal Kombat had some great effects, right? There was the Goro costume and some other things. This movie had like production value. I'll say the guns. They do a lot of shooting. They're again not a single street fight, not a single fight on the street, or really, there's fighting, there's kicking and some kung fu or whatever, and like you're saying, they do all the moves at some point, but never like,
Yeah, for sure. Also, I mean, it has a decent budget. That's not the problem with it, but yeah.
So I'm gonna give it 2 De Niro's. He comes out of the theater and says, kind of squints, and you're like, all right, I could see it or I couldn't. But
I don't think it's a 1-star movie. It's not.
No,
it's not that
because
bad,
it's got production value. It's got things going on, but it's pretty like turn your brain off and like maybe watch some fighting. Don't try to figure it out too much because there's way too much going on for it's way too convoluted for as simple as it should be. I
Yeah.
think is my big takeaway from it.
Yeah, if you want to watch this, it's on Tubi for free, but it's only up for like another 11 or 12 days or something.
Oh, after this
It's coming
drops.
off soon, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is free to watch. I think there's an HD transfer. I don't think there's a 4K transfer.
I want to see the R cut.
You want to see the R-rated cut?
Yeah, I want to see the
I wonder
unrated.
if it was any good.
I mean, it would probably just be more squibs on
Probably,
bad guys versus no squibs on anybody.
Yeah.
Even Van Damme squibs, right? He gets shot in that fake in the scene where he fakes his death.
Yeah.
And it kind of blows up inside his shirt.
Yeah, it's not.
It like kind of leaks around. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was almost a sequel to this in the early 2000s, but I think it just kind of missed its moment because really, like, the video game thing was like 1993 to 1995.
Yep.
And then it really died off because of like Super Mario Brothers and shit. And then it kind of came back with like Resident Evil and Silent Hill and shit in the early aughts.
Oh, sure. But those are horror games, right?
Those
So they
were
were horror
games,
movies,
yeah.
right? And that's
But now it's back. Now, the Mortal Kombat reboot did pretty good. And I could see that them doing this again, if they did it right, it could be pretty decent. If they actually got filmmakers that knew how to like make stuff with fighting scenes and actors that could do fighting scenes.
right. But should you even? I feel like just
Honestly,
let this
I
property
think this would be more relevant now because the Cold War's back. Like, you could fucking
lay into like Zangief being all Russian and
or have it take place in fucking the Ukraine or something.
oh yeah. Is that not too like close to home now? I guess media is kind of like just a complete. There's no smoke and mirrors anymore. It's like
They
this
honestly
is
they should
my
have just
bad
taken
guys.
the whole Cold War shit out of it. Like for 1995.
Was there Cold War stuff in it?
I think so. I think they everything's all fictional cities and names and shit, but I think it's supposed to be a Russian.
Okay.
It's basically what they're kind of implying is like a communist.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of missed its time, so there was never a sequel. And the original Mortal Kombat was probably the only one of those movies that was actually good or decent.
Right. Annihilation was not so.
That Max Headroom Mario movie, I haven't watched that in a while, but I don't think it was very good.
Yeah.
Maybe we should watch that. That might be an interesting one to do. on the show.
Yeah. I think we should do mushrooms and watch that
Right?
movie.
Let us know in the comments how you feel about Street Fighter and if you'd like to hear us review Mario. Was it Super Mario Brothers? What's it called?
Super Mario Bros.
Super Mario Brothers.
On mushrooms.
Yeah.
Gary, have you ever done mushrooms?
I have done mushrooms, but not in a long time.
I don't know if it's the right thing to do mushrooms to, but who cares?
I'm afraid we'll just like do mushrooms and sit there for like 6 hours recording and be like, oh shit, what are we gonna do with this?
Live stream it.
Yeah.
So let us know if you want us to live stream 6 hours of us doing mushrooms and watching Mario movies over and over again.
Yeah. What you should do, Russ, is not tell me and like.
Oh, and just slip it to you.
Just dose me mushrooms.
Oh, I brought you this sandwich, Gary.
Yeah.
Just eat it fast. Don't taste it.
Yeah.
I got you this pizza. Oh, you could put it on pizza? Bet you could bake it onto a pizza.
Yeah. Isn't that an Eminem song from back in the day?
Mom spaghetti. Oh, no.
No. It was another one. It was another Eminem song.
Yeah. So we should say something final on this. The soundtrack is
Soundtrack was okay, I guess, right?
soundtrack's got but
there was some sort of score.
but the official soundtrack release, it's a lot of rap hits, which was kind of surprising because I don't feel like I heard too many rap songs in the movie. Mm-hmm. But how movies used to have like an official soundtrack that just featured a lot of things. I think there's a song by Ice-T or no, Ice Cube.
I know MC Hammer's on it. I don't know who else. Ice Cube?
Ice Cube, MC Hammer.
I think by
LL Cool J.
By 95, MC Hammer was kind of like old news, I think.
Okay, so you can get him on your
Get
Street
him for
Fighters
cheap on your
album.
soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Have you ever seen the MC Hammer biopic?
No, why have
It's so great, man. There's a scene in it where he's like in the studio with Tupac and he's like schooling Tupac on like having a work ethic and like making good. It's like so obviously produced by MC Hammer and his people. It's very funny. Like all those biopics are pretty bad, but
right. I just watched. I know it's not relevant, but since we're talking about biopics, Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story.
Oh yeah, was that any good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's
Yeah, I
actually
kinda
way more violent than I expected.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't want to tell you more than that. Actually, if you're interested in seeing it, you should check it out.
yeah. I will check that out. You know where it's streaming?
It's for free on The Roku channel.
Oh, okay.
It's got commercials here and there.
Interesting.
But
the Roku channel.
Roku channel, just another
Look at
app.
that. Everyone's
Just
trying to get
one
into the
more app.
content game. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Street Fighter, 2 stars. Play the video game. There's action figures. But they're official, like Capcom
I don't know.
or
Were there movie action figures?
No, there's not movie action figures. But
yeah, this thing, I don't know. I don't
just
know why
get a
it got such
Universal
bad
Soldier
push.
action figure. And
But it's weird. Like the movie made money. I don't know why it.
Why they
I guess
didn't.
Capcom just didn't really know what to do with it, or that's why. Like you notice, a lot of these companies, they don't do this anymore. They don't try to produce the movies themselves. They try to do that shit in the 80s and the 90s when the industry was a little bit simpler. But I think they've realized that you're better off to just let like Universal or whoever develop your thing. They know how to do it.
Right.
And they have the connections.
Formulate it up.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
it's it is another element of the industry becoming more commercialized and kind of in the control of a smaller hand of producers and whatnot.
yeah, and that has its pros and cons because you won't have so many clusterfuck movies like this so much anymore, but you will have overproduced garbage that's like kind of the same that you've seen again and again. And
yeah, at the end of the day, movies are still bad. They just figured out a different way to make them bad. So there'll always be something for us to bitch about on this show.
Hell yeah, I think that's the truest words ever spoke, Gary.
Yeah. All right, I think we can end there unless you got something else
I think it was great.
on fucking Street Fighter. All right, later, guys.